Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levy, your co-host, Shaq. We're going to be talking UFC 265, Derrick the Black Beast Lewis versus Ciryl Gane. Shaq, it's going down this Saturday night for the interim heavyweight championship. You got the KO king of the UFC, Derrick Lewis, taking on a prodigy and a phenom in Ciryl Gane for the interim strap. Winners getting Francis Ngannou.
Yeah, I mean, Ciryl Gane's been the most hyped heavyweight prospect probably since Francis Ngannou and their former training partners. Both guys have history with the former champ. Lewis has the win over him. And one of that fight definitely didn't live up. But I'm interested to see a rematch between the two. So, and Francis is my favorite heavyweight champ of all time. But as far as this fight goes, I mean, Derrick Lewis in Houston, Ciryl Gane. I mean, I got a lot of respect for their team over there in France. So I'm excited for this fight, and we also got hashtag Texas judges this weekend. So
oh man,
Texas judges are even more lit than Apex judges. So
I mean, look, if you thought that Adelaide Bird and Chris Lee were bad, just wait till we get to Texas this weekend, and I'm expecting some crazy decisions, maybe in the Pedro Munoz and Aldo fight. There's the Tisha Torres, Angela Hill fight. Angela Hill loves crying robbery. So, and she made a couple comments. We'll talk about that soon. So, man, I'm excited. But look, when we talk about Derrick Lewis being the KO king, that's not hyperbole. I mean, this guy's got more knockouts than Chuck Liddell in the UFC, more knockouts than Vitor Belfort, than Anthony Rumble Johnson, than Francis Ngannou. So Derrick Lewis is the UFC KO king, and he's undefeated in Texas, Shaq.
Yeah, 100%. I had a bet on him his last fight in Texas. He made me sweat it out a little bit against Latifi, but he pulled the job out. And in Texas, man, those judges, I mean, you might have to knock Derrick out to win.
Hashtag 3026 Bosch. I'll never forget that stuff. So we're going to break down the whole card start to finish. But first, got to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Manscaped. So attention listeners across the galaxy, all the way from Australia to Houston. You guys know it's going down this weekend in Houston. Do we have a pube problem? If so, our friends at Manscaped have cleared you for takeoff with their 4th generation brand new Lawnmower 4.0. Kick your pubes to the next planet with the Performance Package 4.0. The orbits in your pants will feel like you're in zero gravity when you use the best tools for the job from the leaders in male grooming. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get your rocket ready for takeoff. Going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code BATTLE20. And Shaq, you ain't trying to get no nicks, no cuts. You ain't trying to deal with no bullshit. I mean, that's why Manscaped comes in, and they always come in ready. And you guys ready for an out-of-world experience, fellas? Look no further than the Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped that has just taken off not only in the USA, but Canada, the UK, across Europe, Australia, South Africa, and even Singapore. Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, which is what I got in my hand right here. You also get the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, the Crop Reviver toner, the Performance boxer briefs, which are extremely comfortable, and even a travel bag to hold your whole solar system. First scheduled for liftoff, the new Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. This spaceship is here to guide you on your journey to trim your butt, your body, balls, and even your anus. This 4th generation trimmer also features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor and new multi-function on-off switch, which can engage a travel lock, and is even waterproof. So, no power, no problem. Get in the shower. The Lawnmower 4.0 also has a 4000K LED spotlight you can turn on and off when needed for a more precise shave through your travels across the universe. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker. It's like having a little astronaut to chop off your worst weeds up top in your nose and ear. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual-blade system. I mean, every time I say that, it sounds badass. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology, which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate areas. And don't forget about the Crop Preserver ball deodorant and their Crop Reviver to help your little planets be on their A game while feeling the sun's heat. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Abort hairy balls and Buzz Lightyear that Woody with Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BATTLE20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code BATTLE20 at manscaped.com. For a clean trinity and beyond, your space balls will thank you, Shaq.
I couldn't have said it better myself, man.
Absolutely. So hit up our sponsor, Manscaped. So let's go ahead and break down this whole card start to finish. Because first up, in the bantamweight division, interesting. So they're So Jamie Simmons is dropping down. So we got Johnny Munoz. He's 10-1. He's taking on Jamie Simmons, who's 7-3. And currently they got Johnny Munoz minus 300. The comeback on Jamie Simmons is plus 240. So Shaq, what's interesting about this fight is you got Johnny Munoz, who's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and you got Jamie Simmons, who's a former wrestler. So stylistically, it's intriguing because I do wonder if Jamie Simmons can use that wrestling in reverse, keep this fight standing, and from there it might be kind of even standing. But that being said, I do kind of think that Johnny Munoz, look, he's not a Damian Maia, he's not a Ronnie Yaya, anything like that, but he's still legit enough to probably get a submission here. So I think Munoz probably gets it done, but I'm kind of sketched out by that wide line. I thought the opener, was a little bit more correct. So I'm gonna go with Johnny Munoz, but there is a path to victory for Simmons here using that wrestling in reverse.
Yeah, both had Simmons had a very tough debut. He had to fight Chikadze in his first fight, and that definitely didn't go according to plan. Munoz, I've heard things about him. He fought Manus, we know Manus. He's fought a couple dudes from around here, so yeah, Munoz is the jiu-jitsu guy, and he seemed like he had some good clinch, and he took that fight against Manus on like a day or two notice, man. So we're probably going to see a much better version of both guys. So it is kind of, I kind of feel where you're going. Like, it's kind of sketchy. You don't really know how both guys are going to show up. Both guys are young. Munoz, even though he's got the 10-1 record, some of those opponents weren't exactly, up to par. I feel like Simmons might have even had a tougher local scene. Like, is he from like Missouri or something?
Yeah.
So yeah, or Wisconsin. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Munoz, but yeah, it could be a close fight, man. You really don't know too much about these guys like that.
Yeah, this fight will let us know a lot. And also Simmons dropping to 35s. The last fight was on short notice against Giga. This is much more of a fight along his level. So let's see what happens. Next up in the flyweight division, we got a matchup between Victoria Leonardo. She's 8-3. She's taking on Melissa Gatto, who is 6-2. And currently they got a dead pick'em, minus 108 Gatto, minus 108 Leonardo. So Gatto, obviously, her claim to fame is she submitted Carl Hossa, nearly half a decade ago. First round submission. So now that win is really aged well because Carl Hossa is one of the top prospects. Now, in my opinion, Shaq, if they ran it back today, I think Carl Hossa would
get very ugly.
I think Carl Hossa would do some things that yeah. So I personally don't put much stock into that win. But that being said, Victoria Leonardo, she's tough, but isn't the most imposing fighter on the roster. How do you see this one going down?
Yeah, it's interesting because Gatto is coming off the USADA like 2-year thing, and one thing I've been noticing, like these girls coming off the 2-year, the Brazilian ones, like Ribas, Lemos had a USADA one, like a bunch of them Brazilian girls pop, man, and then they end up coming back and like and looking good, man. So yeah, look, Victoria Leonardo, I was not impressed at all. she, no disrespect, tough girl. I can't even say durable because I've seen her get stopped multiple times. So, experience. Okay, she's experienced. She's been around, but skill wise, she's got decent takedown. She's somewhat of a punching bag on the feet. I watched her fight against what's the French girl, the French
Manon Fura.
And look, yeah, Ferrero's a very high prospect, but I see a lot of greenness in her as well. And it wasn't really much a competition. She got stopped by Blanchfield, who's a jiu-jitsu fighter, by a head kick. And the chick she fought on Contender Series, was like 2-0, 3-0, like not much experience. Like Gatto, even though similar, inexperience, hasn't fought in a while, I wouldn't be shocked if in these 2 years she's been gaining a lot of skills. 2 years to practice for a young fighter is almost like is a good thing in my opinion. This USADA thing, I'm not putting any stock into it. She just like probably, how old is she?
25.
Yeah, like come on, man. She ain't. I think it's just something in those Brazilian supplements out there. Ribas had it, Lemos had it, Jennifer Maia, like a lot of those Brazilian girls like have popped for like little things out there on the for USADA. So I think I got Gatto, man. I don't think it should be a pick 'em. Like, yeah, Carol Rosa, yeah, of course, if they ran it back, Carol would, do things. And some could say it was a fluke arm bar, or it wasn't even an arm, it was like Kimura, like which is impressive. Like, if she's pulling off stuff like that against Carol Rosa at that, young green stage in her career, I want to see what happened, how she's look after 2 years, because we know what Victoria, she's gonna try to get a takedown, I guess. But I mean, on the feet, it's bad, man. Like, she's slow. She's it's soccer mom vibe. So, I think I'm gonna go with Melissa Gatto here. I'm gonna say by finish too, man. I mean, this girl has been stopped multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we don't know exactly how it's going to go down because with the layoff, not that I think she's going to look worse. I think she probably will look better, but we don't know exactly what to expect. But I don't put much stock into the USADA suspension because, like we were talking about, when these kids are like, 25 years old and they pop, it's completely different than popping when you're in your mid to late 30s. That's when you got to worry about the USADA suspensions. I mean, you remember Ortega when he popped, it wasn't a big deal.
Like, man, like there's some popping where it's like, Dillashaw level pop, that type of popping, or like Tristana, like real like steroids. But like when it's like the Osterin and those things I think it's just tainted supplements, man. So like I'm not putting any stock into that. I actually, I feel like in other spots you would have seen like Gatto lined a lot higher, like I don't know. That's just the way I feel.
Well, I mean, it's the layoff, the USADA suspension that plays into people's minds. They've seen Leonardo fight. Granted, she got finished her last fight, but prior to that, she upset a lot of people when she beat Chelsea Hackett. Listen, I didn't set her a minus 300. I didn't set Hackett minus 300 favorite there. Some girl was minus 300 against Leonardo on Contenders. Leonardo finished her, got that UFC contract. So
did that girl beat Carol Rosa?
Absolutely not. And again, I think Carl Hosa would beat Gatto if they ran it back.
You know what Carol Rosa would do to Victoria Lena?
I'm gonna go Gatto. Opportunistic submission somewhere along the way. Just not exactly sure if she's gonna pull guard, if she's gonna try to take her down, or maybe Leonardo takes Gatto down and gets subbed. So let's see. Next up in the bantamweight division, we got Miles Johns. He's 11-1. He's taking on Anderson Dos Santos, who's 21-8. And currently they got Miles Johns minus 220. The comeback on Anderson Dos Santos is plus 184. Good fight. Was scheduled to happen once before. Was it Dos Santos that got COVID or?
Yeah.
So Dos Santos had COVID. Listen, I think that the finishing upside is with Dos Santos. Like if someone's going to get a finish here, most likely it's Anderson. I mean, this is a guy that finished Ricky Simon. He's a hard hitter. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, marches forward.
Brutal finish too. Ricky, he beat him up.
He knocked Ricky down and choked him out, I believe. Or did he knock him out?
No, he dropped him and then
he dropped him and choked him out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, Anderson, he's a tough. When I say he's a journeyman, I mean it with all due respect. He's a tough. He's a tough journeyman. So if there's a finish in this fight, I think it'd most likely be Dos Santos. It's just Miles Johns is really good at playing it safe and stalling the fight. And I say that with all due respect, mixing, like he can be getting outstruck, but then he'll take you down with 2 minutes left and lay on you and win that round. And those qualities are good for winning decisions. We'll see how the Houston judges score it, but I'm gonna go with Miles Johns via decision here, Shaq.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was feeling. I was like, man, I feel like this could be lined closer just because I respect Dos Santos. He's tough, he's experienced, and Johns, I feel like, that big muscly frame, like look at his fight with Cole Smith. I mean, that was a little too close to call for my for the type of prospect he was. I mean, that fight was coming down to the wire. And then his fight with Mario Bautista in Texas. I mean,
big letdown.
That was a eggy. I mean, he was, once Mario started feigning them knees, I mean, he stopped throwing it. And I mean, he's had some other, a lot, like the fight what he had against Yanez on the local scene was close. I mean, he ate some shots there. I mean, he pressed Yanez on the fence. That's what he's good at. He can press on the fence, stall, and kill the clock. But I mean, honestly, man, I feel like it could be lined closer. I can't necessarily say Anderson's gonna win because I mean it is in Texas, and we know who's from Texas. So it's like one of those things where like like Anderson's probably gonna have to like really beat Miles up to win this fight, and is he capable of that? Probably not, but he can, maybe out
a big moment or two.
Yeah, maybe a couple big moments, outmaneuver him, take it back. Because man, even on that Contender Series fight, you can see Miles, man, like if you can get him to work and like exert, like those muscles will get tired, man, and he will start huffing and puffing. And then his fight with Natividad, Natividad's been getting ran through in the UFC. So, I feel like Dos Santos is a tougher test. Is he gonna win? No, but I feel like John, it's a little bit too. But you do have the Texas judges to back you up if this is close. They can't let Miles Johns go home with that.
Could you imagine Saif Sayoud's reaction?
Yeah, he's already Saif already talked to them. So,
Yeah. One thing I want to say. Props to Miles Johns on that vet tactic in his last fight when he knocked the guy out. He grabbed his glove. Yeah, hey, if the ref didn't see it, it didn't happen. So listen, man, just like grab the fence. You get a couple warnings. Like You learn how to game the system, and
like
he did that.
What's his name? Nikolai against Kimura.
Oh man,
grabbing the fins.
Yeah, the way Johns grabbed those gloves. I mean, I'm curious to see if other fighters like learn from that, because that was actually just as a fighting technique. That was a beautiful technique. I know it's against the rules, but it was a great. I mean, look, Anderson Silva's knockout of Yushin Okami, the first one was against the rules, but it was a beautiful knockout. So
it's a fight,
you know, yeah. Next up in the flyweight division, we got Manel Kape. He's 15-6. He's taking on O'Day Osborne, who's 9-3, and currently they got.
It's a good fight.
Manel Kape -200. The comeback on O'Day Osborne is +168. So obviously a great fight. But first thing I want to say, O'Day dropping to 125. Like,
weighed in yet? I want to see if he makes weight.
Like, dude, he is going to look awful on the scales. He is going
big, bro. Like, he's big.
He is going to look so emaciated. But granted, put the weight back on, rehydrate, go out there and perform. But then let's say he does put the weight back on and performs. How do you see them matching up? Because it's like O'Day has these big explosive moments. You take him down, he's subbing you off his back. He's been training jiu-jitsu with Coach Daniel Wanderlei, and he's got knockout power too. And with Kape, he's been criticized for his volume, but he's in there fighting really tough guys, man. I mean, Nicolau, Pantoja, going the distance with them, very closely contested fights. He did his thing over there in Japan. You know, the low volume can be criticized, but it's not like O'Day Osborne is really a volume guy himself. He's more of a first-round finisher too. So I like this fight a lot. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Kape being favored just due to the fact, and I feel like people are a little too harsh on him because, like, low volume, but you try fighting Pantoja and Nicolau, like, bro, like it ain't just that easy. Like, Nicolau, honestly, in my opinion, is one of the most talented guys. I mean, other than his chin flaw, I mean, everything else is solid. So, and Pantoja, I mean, did y'all ever see Pantoja versus Moreno? I mean, twice.
2 times.
So, you know, I think that Manel Kape's getting a little bit of a bad rap, and I mean, he was right there with those guys. It wasn't like he was getting beat. I mean, I honestly scored the Kape fight. I watched it again. I scored it for him. I mean,
the Nicolau fight.
Yeah, the Nicolau fight. Look, it was close. It could have went either way. They happened to score it for Nicolau in the apex. It is what it is. The Pantoja fight, he clearly lost, but I mean that fight was competitive for 15 minutes. I mean, Pantoja never at any point just started beating him up. I mean, that fight was tactical. It was high level, man. So I think Manel Kape is right there with those guys. I think, look, like my boy Night Train, you know, sometimes you drop the first two, or there was somebody else that dropped the first two on the last card. Man,
Phil Rowe dropped the first one.
Jinyu Fry, she lost her first two fights in the UFC, man. Sometimes, you know, that too, man, it puts your back against the wall, and I mean, it's like I got it. Like, Manel Kape's gonna come all the way from Japan all this time, come to the UFC and go 0 for 3. I love O'Day Osborne, but man, I don't think so. Look, O'Day Osborne, I think everything right now, look, he's the dog, and +160 is a good line because it's a projection for him. I mean, you're projecting that at flyweight, his power in that first round is going to be too much. And I mean, Manel Kape does fight with his hands down, but I just know that 125 cut, he's so big. I want to see, like, just what happens if they go a lot more positions, like if they go on the ground and they're scrambling. Like, scrambling at 125 and 135 is two different things, man. You have to be able to go constantly, like, and this guy is out here, you know, doing it against, you know, top 10 competition, man. So I gotta lean Manel Kape here to get it done by. I'm gonna say he's got the advantage in the late rounds. I mean, now this is his fight, because O'Day Osborne, it hasn't fought, like, he's only fought Brian Keller and Jerome Rivera, man. Like, you know, Keller is you know, an experienced guy, and O'Day got carried away in the pre-fight. So, you know, yeah, you know, he took that submission loss, but Jerome Rivera, he did what he was supposed to, but like, it's so low level that, like, and it was at 145 pounds. It's tough to say how he's going to perform position to position, you know, ground transitioning. Like, how is he going to do after that weight cut, man? Because flyweight pace is a lot, man. So I'm going to go with Manel Kape. I say he breaks away in the late rounds by decision, like 29-27. Maybe that first round he might get you know, dropped here, because O'Day's throwing thunder, man. And Manel Kape better not try to go toe-to-toe with him early.
Firstly, shout out to our family, Jared Night Train Gooden, for putting all of Georgia on his back and going out there and starching Stolze in the first round in devastating, memorable fashion. So shout out Night Train. So happy for you, man. As far as this fight's concerned, Manel Kape, He's got the experience edge. And in addition to the experience edge, he's got the experience edge at 125 pounds. Like Shaq was talking about, 125 and 135, it's a completely different story. I mean, not only are you on the edge, the brink of your body fat cutting the 25s, but the pace is nonstop. These guys do not take breaks. Now, the interesting thing is Kape has been criticized for low volume, but that's, relatively speaking to guys like Nicolau, speaking, to guys like Pantoja. Here it's going to be a little bit different because Osborne, I think he's going to be huge for 25s. There's a chance he even misses weight. Maybe we'll see. And I think that Osborne is a great prospect. He's going to go on to have a very bright future. But right now, Kape is slightly ahead of him, and he's fought the better guys. He's been in there. He's battle tested. And listen, Osborne's always going to be dangerous. You take a guy like that down, and, he's one of the rare guys that can attack off his back and submit people. He's also super explosive, can just do really unorthodox techniques. So maybe he catches Kape, but I think the long-term battle is going to be won by Kape, and I think he gets his first UFC win. And we'll see what happens with Listen, that last fight, I know it was at 45s for against Rivera, but he was initially supposed to fight at 25s. His opponent backed out, so they got.
Supposed to fight Albazi?
I believe, Albazi. That's a fucking great fight. That would have been a tough fight too.
Paiva was supposed to fight Albazi.
My boy Paiva is ranked in 2 divisions, but but back to this. So Ode was already dropping to 25s, but that fight got canceled. So Rivera could only make 45 on like a week notice. So
what if Ode makes 125 on the dot?
Yeah, look, if Ode makes 25, that'll be really interesting. I think it'll send a big message that he's someone to look out for. But I still slightly lean towards Kape just because I think he's more ahead right now in the respective part of his career. But definitely keep your eyes on Osborne. I'm very high on him as a prospect. Now, next up in the strawweight division, we got the former number 1 contender, the former title challenger, 2 former title challengers. We got Karolina Kowalkiewicz. She's 12-6. She's taking on Jessica Penne, who's 13-5. And currently, they got Karolina Kowalkiewicz minus 126. The comeback on Jessica Penne is plus 108. So, this is interesting because both ladies have seen better days. I mean, we talked about how Jessica Penne, she changed her biological passport, which I don't even know what the fuck that means. It just sounds bad. But then you got Karolina on the other side, who got diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease, and she changed her diet to all vegan. And you know what happens when these guys start going vegan. I mean, unless you're a Diaz brother. You remember when Abel Trujillo was like this scary, explosive guy? Then he went vegan, and everyone just started running through him. So listen, I love Karolina. I'm a huge fan, and had this been prior to her Jessica Andrade fight, it might even be a max bet at this price on Karolina. It's just that now I think that the playing field has kind of leveled out. And honestly, I think it's a pick 'em fight. So I'll actually slightly lean towards the dog, Jessica Penne. And I just think that she'll, maybe take her back, maybe just have a little bit more top control. I mean, I think Karolina's better than her on the feet for sure. It's just Karolina has not been the same since that Jessica Andrade fight and since her unfortunate diagnosis. And we wish her all the best. We're huge fans of Karolina. I mean, I'll never forget when Karolina cashed that plus 215 against Rose Namajunas here in Atlanta, Georgia. She'll always have my respect. I'll always be a fan. And had this been a couple years ago, it'd be big on Karolina. But current states, dog or pass, I'll go Jessica Penne via split decision.
Yeah, I mean, if this fight was like 2014 or something, man, this would have been Karolina with a mollywop Jessica, But unfortunately, it's not, man. The way I feel about it is like both of these girls you got Penne, who's on the tail end. Karolina's on the tail end. Both girls are on the tail end. But I feel like in terms of a betting perspective, this is like the one fight where I really think like, in terms of like one of the fights at least where like, this fight's going to be close. Like if you're looking for a dog, like, Penne has actually fought we got to see Penne against, maybe Godinez was a little green and 5-0 and whatnot. But I mean, it's a young, like, arguably more hungrier girl coming in there. And I mean, I disagree with that being controversial too, man. If you get your back taken and back mounted at the end of 2 rounds, like don't be shocked when you lose. Like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I know she had some big slams and she definitely, Godinez throws hard, man. Like she was throwing haymakers in there. But I think Karolina, man, it's been since like the Claudia Gadelha times, man, when I've been a little skeptical. I remember she fought in Atlanta and beat Rose Namajunas back in the day. And ever since the Joanna fight, then the Gadelha submission loss, she had maybe a couple wins at like against Jody Escobar and like Felice Herrig, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, man, I mean, look, it is against the top girls in the sport, but look at who's Penne losing to, the top girls in the sport. So it's like,
besides Danielle Taylor.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess you could say her losing to Grasso and Yan Chow in. It would be exactly. And she got absolutely dominated. No, nothing, Watterson, nothing to offer. Like, absolutely blown out the water. So it's like, man, it feels like the facts are all pointing that Penne is going to win a split decision here, man. Or, look, Carolina used to have better stand-up, but like, has she been getting off any offense lately? Like, at least Penne was like popping the jab a little bit. I'm going with Penne here by decision. I just think she's been more active. At least we saw her against like a young fighter. So I gotta lean her in this one, man. Carolina, I think her eye socket, Yan Chow-Nin broke her eye socket or something like that. Her last fight.
It's been uncomfortable to watch.
Like some of the Grasso fight, those have been uncomfortable. Like it was like, man, like they're teeing off on you. Like, and she, like Carolina, when she was coming up, she was the girl that used to break girls in the late rounds. And I think honestly, like how we see in the male divisions, man, like some of these, workman fighters that take a lot of damage that, win in the late rounds. I mean, you can't do that forever, and it catches up to you. And once it's not like she's going to get knocked out here, but it just seems like all her skills diminish.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but, we wish her the best. For sure.
Had a great run.
I'm a huge fan of Carolina. Now, next up in the 205-pound division, we got Ed Shortfuse Herman. He's 25-14. He's taking on Alonzo Menifield, who is 10-2. And currently, they got Alonzo Menifield minus 245 to come back on Ed Herman's plus 200. So what's interesting about this is like,
Alonzo knock him out.
should I give Alonzo Menifield another chance? Because I'm still pissed about that Devin Clark fight. Like, I still think that if you're a prospect at 205 and you have aspirations to make it into the rankings and to be something in that division, like you need to go out there and knock out Devin Clark in the first round. And, unfortunately he didn't do that. With Ed Herman, interestingly enough, when he fought that Russian, he kind of followed a similar game plan that I'd want him to follow here if I was picking him, which is to weather that early storm. Once he starts to get tired, that's when you show those vet tactics, the elbows, the knees in the clinch, man. He's got all kinds of stuff going on. But at the same time, Ed Herman is 40 years old. So maybe I don't quite agree with the price on Menifield pre-tape. But then again, he knocks Ed Herman out in the first round, and he's going to look like a minus 250 favorite. So it's just tough because I'm worried about what happens if this fight gets extended. I'm going to lean with Menifield to get this early knockout. I do think that he had to have improved from those losses. He's training with a great team, Fortis MMA. But Ed Herman is one of these savvy vets that, again, if Ed Herman can get this to the 7-minute mark, hit up the live betting window, it might get kind of interesting. But, he is 40 years old. At some point, the bottom's got to drop out. And, he did lose to guys like John Vellante and stuff. So CB Dalloway, he even dropped CB Dalloway and lost. I'm going to go Menifield first round knockout, but all due respect to Shortfuse, true vet of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Shortfuse was on that season with Bisping, man. Tough 3, I believe. So, Menifield, yeah, I've kind of felt like Menifield was overrated for a while, but not, this fight, he is fighting a 40-year-old, but the Craig fight, I don't know why Paul Craig went for that spin. Like that was bad in my opinion, and Craig's improved. And they're probably not going to fight, but I truly believe if they did fight again, Alonzo would get his arm broken. But no, on a serious note, man, Menifield got rushed up too bit from that Craig fight. You know what happens if you beat Paul Craig? I mean,
especially the way he beat him.
Like you win by KO. That means you fighting it with the big boys now. So the Clark fight, man, I mean, if you get Alonzo tired, man, he's basic. I mean, he'll, telegraph his punches. I mean, duck his head in the clinch, force the clinch like when he shouldn't. He's probably worked on that. He probably just needed experience. He only had like 10 fights, somewhere in between there. So he was fairly green. As long as they worked on that in the gym, I think this is the test that they can pass. Look, but at that line, man, just knowing in the back of your mind, how many times have you seen Ed Herman pull these vet tricks? He's also looked sloppy, but it seems like those are against like guys with like a real take, like CB might be a jobber, but like he is a D1 wrestler. He just held him down. It's not like he broke Ed. He just hugged his leg, and Ed was like he didn't want to fight me. So, anyways, man, I think Menifield is gonna win, but I actually think he's gonna have to go 3 rounds and prove. Like you got to go 3 rounds because look, even that Mike Rodriguez fight against Ed, like. I mean, we know what happened and all that stuff, but like, man, I kind of respect Ed for like Ed played that off so cool. Like he never at any point like Say never said a word during the entire time. He was just, he played it off nice, and then he pulls that Kimura sweep off. I mean, Ed stays in the fight, man. He's not a quitter. He's gonna be here. We'll see if it wasn't like it was like more body shots he was getting hurt with, right?
Yeah, it was a knee to the body.
Yeah, like he wasn't getting hurt with shots on chin. So like in terms of his chin, I still think it's at least pretty good for a 40-year-old. It's more so his midsection and stuff like that, which is in play. So I'm gonna go with Menifield by tough, like bloody, gritty fight decision. And I think he'll finally, pull through.
It'd be nice to see. Now, next up in the bantamweight division, we got a match between Draco Rodriguez. He's 7-2. He's taking on Vince Morales, who is 9-5. And currently, they got Draco -112, and Vince is -104.
Jobs are on the line.
So, I mean, listen, I've been kind of critical of Vince Morales. For the UFC level, I think that he is a bit harmless. Now, I know what people, he's harmless. He'd whoop your ass. I just said at the UFC level, I think that, he doesn't have much pop in his hands. He doesn't have options to take fights to the ground. His legs are a bit brittle. I know it's Chris Gutierrez, but still, this kid's got skinny legs. Now, Draco, on the other hand, doesn't move his head, gets submissions off his back. His hands are okay. What do you think, man? Who's going to get this done?
It's tough because
they open Vince -180.
Vince, man, I feel like his back's against the wall. I mean, he has to win this fight to continue. I mean, look, let's look at who he's been fighting, man. We're talking about Song. We're talking about El Guapo Gutierrez. We're talking about my boy Golden Boy Benito. Man, what the hell happened to that kid? That kid disappeared.
Even the people close to him don't know.
Like that kid was supposed to be a prospect at one point. But yeah. And a lot of people think that Vince won that fight. I mean, it was close, but man, Draco, now that was bad against the Sahabi brother. That was bad because he missed weight. I mean, I was actually impressed with his Contender Series performance. It was probably low level though. Yeah, look, I think I'm gonna go with Vince, man, just due to I feel like, just that urgency behind him. Like, this is it. Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, this is a low-level journeyman jobber fight. I mean, it is what it is, but I feel like it's going to be a good fight just due to the stakes of the fight, because if Draco comes out here and lays another egg and gets stopped, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they let him slide out of here too after what he did his last fight. And Vince, I mean, I just think, man, you got to gain some experience, man, from these experiences. And I mean, he is training with guys like Ricky Simon. I don't know who Draco Rodriguez trains with. I mean, I'm sure he trains somewhere, but he's training with Ricky Simon. I mean, his cousin gotta wear off on him at some point. But I'm gonna go with Vince, man. I think I'm gonna say by like close decision. I mean, I bet on Chris Gutierrez against him due to the fact that the fight previously against Lopez landed like a bunch of low kicks on him. I was like, if Chris kicks us like that, it's probably going to be a wrap, and that's exactly what happened. So I just think those are bad matchups for him, man. Like Song, so I think those guys are all somewhat, little. Benito Lopez, what's his record now? Just one loss.
Benito is 10-1.
I mean, I don't know what the hell happened to him, but he's 10-1.
We hope Benito's okay with whatever's going on behind the scenes, but I'm going to come in on the other side. I mean, it's not a confident pick here on Draco Rodriguez. I mean, he's fought nothing but low-level competition on his regional scene, except Tony Gravely, and granted, he got knocked out in that fight. So the 2 times he's fought anybody remotely UFC caliber, he's gotten stopped. But I've been very critical of Vince Morales since day one of where he stands in the UFC, man. I just kind of, again, I don't mean to be disrespectful when I say that he's a bit harmless for the UFC level. I just don't think he really presents much of a threat. His hands are okay. Maybe he can touch Draco. Draco's coming off a KO loss, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. But I think that Draco is a little bit more dangerous, and I think he's going to come out here with a lot of urgency coming off a surprising loss to him. I know he was shocked he got stopped like that.
Yeah, by hands too.
Yeah, so
Sahabi,
unless Draco's completely broken, I'll pick him to win this fight. Now here it's about to get fun, my man. Main event of the prelims. We got Rafael Fiziev. He's 9-1. He's taking on Bobby King Green, who's 27-11. And currently they got Rafael Fiziev minus 295. The comeback on Bobby Green is plus 240. I mean, look, we're huge fans of Bobby Green. All respect to the OG. I'll never forget when Bobby Green cashed a similar price ticket to what it is right now, plus 250 against Josh Thompson back in the day.
That was amazing.
Like,
dude, that was great because Thompson back in the day was like nice guy, but you remember how he was back in the day.
I very vividly remember. So I've always been grateful to Bobby Green for that, and I've always been a fan of his style. A lot of swag, good hands, good takedown. He's a solid ass dude that's paid his dues and's been there and done that. Rafael Fiziev, extremely explosive striker, very, very dangerous, and he's surrounded by some other dangerous people, like all the Kazakh fighters, man. Like these guys, like whatever those guys are doing, keep doing it. Shaq, a lot of people say this line is a bit wide. A lot of people say it's a dogger pass situation. Do you agree with that?
Man, I love Bobby, man, but this kid Fiziev, man, I think he's headed to the top 15. Look, I'm gonna go ahead on here and limb. I think the only two people to stop Bobby Green with strikes is Dustin and Tim Means. Tim, he couldn't get up off the stool, but I think this might be the third time. Bobby, look, he plays around with them hands down a lot, and he's got good head movement, and he does roll with the punches very well. But at the same time, this is not. No, my boy Moises will be back. He lost to Islam, but Moises is still, that striking is still improving. It's not this guy Fiziev striking is already, here. Or Clay Guida or Alan Patrick or Orlando Venata. This is like a serious kickboxer, and I think he can fight for 3 rounds too if need be. I mean, he proved that in the Mark DeCasey fight. But the fact that he's just coming out here and bombing off on dudes like Moicano, like that level dudes, that means that, like, in my opinion, he's official now. Like, okay, he's passed that test, and now you put him in that gym in Florida, with Henry and them, Sanford MMA. Like, he's got my boy Coach Lentz and Shavkat and I mean, all those dudes. I mean,
Coach Lentz.
There's so many. He was coaching Shavkat, and
Yep.
I just remember they were in the corner. But I think that I think this might be a good situation for him. I think he's gonna stop Bobby, man. I think that if you let a guy like him get off clean shots like that, and Bobby, like, they remember when he fought Dustin and he was doing something similar, like, oh, that didn't really land, and then, I mean, look, he has eaten shots from Ronaldo, and we know the type of shots Ronaldo. I mean, look, Bobby's usually got a good chin, but I think, man, if he plays them games here, this guy's super, like, his timing, his explosiveness. I mean, look at, like, some of that, like, flexibility in the DeCasey fight. Like, and DeCasey's a good athlete too, man.
Very
good. So I'm very impressed with this guy. Man, top 15. Look, I think he's top 15. I know who's in the top 15 that we got to get out of there, because if Fiziev ain't top 15, you spark Moicano like that.
Damn, that's a killer's fucking row.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you can get Kevin Lee up out of there.
Yeah, Kevin Lee moved a weight class.
Yeah, he already moved weight class. So yeah, that would be the one. But man, 15. I mean, like, when Moises is number 15 and Saruki is 14, like, So yeah, I'm going Fiziev by stoppage, man. I love Bobby, but I just think there's too many openings. He plays with fire with his head movement, and he might get away with that against the guys that he's been fighting, but against this guy, I think he's gonna pay the price.
Yeah, again, I'm a huge fan of Bobby Green. For those that are just tuning in, like I said, I'll always be grateful for that cash, the plus 250 against Josh Thompson. I'll always be a fan of Bobby Green's style. When everyone was criticizing him for being cocky and flamboyant and showboaty, I was always into it, man. I love Bobby Green. It's just that style plays right into Fiziev's hands here, man. Fiziev is the much faster striker. He's cleaner. He's got more power. And then you take it a step further and you talk about what's kind of plagued Bobby in the past. There's been a lot of these close decisions. Well, we're in Texas now, man. And Bobby ain't winning no split decision in Texas. But I kind of think that Fiziev might actually stop him, as sad as that is. Huge Bobby Green fan. So I'm going to go with Rafael Fiziev here to get it done. So before we talk about the main card, let's just see what the fans are saying real quick. Got my boy Rob Brown in the house saying he likes the quality. Appreciate it. We just gotta fix this syncing thing, but the quality is on point. Got my boy Nandalal. Is that how you pronounce it?
Nandalal Rashaya.
Yeah, we appreciate you, man. Let's see what else y'all are saying. We got Mystic Sosa with the Shaq attack.
Mystic Sosa, I like that.
Got my boy Marcus with the Nubian bookstore. Shout out Nubian bookstore here in ATL.
Oh, yeah, my boy Marcus.
My boy Chris showing some love to Night Train. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go, Rogue. We got my boy Matt. How's it going? How's it going, Matt? Appreciate you being here. Got Robot Chicken Wings. What up, Dan? Welcome back, Shaq. God bless you. God bless you, my man.
You, Robot Chicken Wings.
Thank you so much for y'all support. All right, main card. Here we go. First up in the bantamweight division, we got Yadong Song. He's 16-5. He's taking out Casey Kenney, who is 16-3. And currently, they got Casey Kenney -120. The comeback on Song Yadong is +102. It actually opened flipped with Song Yadong as the favorite. This is one of the toughest fights on the entire card to call, for me at least. And the reason being is that I think that Song Yadong is heavily criticized because a couple of these decisions maybe people disagreed with, but like they're competitive fights against studs, man. I mean, Marlon Chito Vera is a stud. Cody Stamann is a stud. Kyler Phillips is a stud. And these are all competitive, close wars, man. And when you talk about a kid who's, I know we've made jokes about his age because he's 30. he's been 23 for the last 10 years, but you know, remember when he was like 19 for 2 years straight?
30, then he was 26 then.
So I've never seen a guy go from 26 to 23. The only thing I can remember that's comparable is when Jake Ellenberger made his UFC debut against Conda, and they listed him at 6 feet, and then like 5'9", and then a couple of fights later they listed him at like 5'8", 5'9". So like that's the only thing I can remember that's comparable. But look, here this is tough, man, because it's like Song Yadong's got more power in his hands. I think Song Yadong's the faster striker as well. Casey Kenney probably definitely got the wrestling edge, but like he can mix in takedowns, but can he hold down a guy like Song? Plus, that's not even Casey Kenney's approach. Casey Kenney likes to fight. So this is gonna be interesting. I do lean towards Casey. I do think he's more well-rounded, but I'm not confident, man, because I think that people are sleeping on Song Yadong. I think that a 23-year-old kid can make a lot of improvements in a short amount of time. He's been fighting tough-ass guys, but so is Kenney. I mean, he just went to a split with one of the bantamweight goats, Dominic Cruz. So, you know, I should probably pick the dog since I think it's a coin flip fight. I do lean Casey Kenney, but I would not be surprised if I was dead wrong on this one.
Yeah, it's a good matchup, man. This fight's tough because watching tape on both of them, you know, man, the way bantamweight is now, man, it's like so many. This is a very important fight for both of them because I feel like the loser is going to have a tough time surviving. I mean, not saying that he can't keep his job, but I mean, the way bantamweight is now, man, it's like, bro, you got even the unranked guys, like bantamweight's like lightweight now. It's like, you know, it's so many, even the unranked guys could be.
Yo, these guys are unranked. That's how crazy it is.
Yeah, like, so I think that like, this is going to be a good fight. Casey got to experience that level against the greatest bantamweight of all time, in my opinion, Dom Cruz, and I'm sure he learned a lot. So I'm interested to see how he come back from that. And it seems like Casey has a similar theme in a lot of his fights, that he starts off very good, and towards the end that he kind of hits a wall. And even in the and you know, this is because look, the Nathaniel Wood fight. Like, I feel like Wood's a little overrated, man. I feel like Wood's chin held him back in that fight. I feel like, you know, Casey could eat his shots fine, but Wood, every time Casey hit him, he'd have to stop. And I mean, I've seen Nathaniel Wood, you know, wobbled several times. Even in the Manny Bermudez fight, like Manny Bermudez was like missing weight, like, and towards the end of that fight, man, Manny started taking it to Casey. I know Casey clearly won the first 2 rounds, and you know, tangling with the dude like Manny on the ground could definitely take a lot out of you. But I feel like Casey's an undersized bantamweight. I just feel like he should be the dog, man. I feel like, look, Song Yadong, yes, his last 3, Stamann, Vera, and Kyler Phillips, yes, all had controversy. A lot of people think he went 0 for 3. I mean, he lost the last one, but like, I mean, did you see Paiva and Kyler Phillips? Like, don't sleep. Kyler will be back, man. Like,
he'll definitely be back.
Like, Paiva's a dog, man. Like, I think all 3 of those dudes, you know, Cody Stamann might not be top 15 anymore. But like, he's still he's number 15. But like the Merab, like, look at, like, it wasn't like Merab was out here like, you know, picking Cody up and like, my bad. I mean, you saw what happened when Merab and Casey fought. It was 30-26, like on one card, you know, like the Stamann fight he had was like competitive. So I think he's fighting like good dudes, man. Like, and I don't think Casey can hold him down, like maybe briefly, but man, I see on the feet, like Casey maybe down the stretch, I actually see if like Song can take those improvements from the Phillips fight, in which he kind of won the 3rd round against a guy that was fatiguing in the late rounds. If he can do that here, man, I wouldn't be shocked if he either. I just think he's got a lot more options to win. Like I could see him sparking Casey early. I could see him sparking Casey late. I don't think Casey can necessarily hold him down like that. And I feel like Song could even get on top of Casey. I mean, Casey has been taken down several times, man. Like
more times than Song.
Yeah, I just feel like Song has more aspects to win, more ways to win. So I'm gonna pick him to win this fight, man.
So we pronounced my boy Nandalal's name correctly. So hell yeah. My boy Isaac Martinez says Shaq Diesel back in the house. Isaac. We got my boy Jay Weezy with the $25 donation. Appreciate you so much, Jay Weezy. You're the fucking man. Thank you, brother. All right. Now, next up in the strawweight division, we got Tecia Torres. She's 12-5. She's rematching Angela Hill, who is 13-9. And currently, they got Tecia Torres -135. The comeback on Angela Hill is +115. So, Shaq, listen, I like Angela Hill, right? Like, I think she comes to fight, and I think she's aggressive early. But here's my thing. I kind of have an issue with she's been running that mouth, man. But listen, I love trash talk. Don't get me wrong. I just have a problem with not accepting responsibility, not accepting accountability. Like you lose all these split decisions, and I get maybe 1 or 2 of them were controversial, but when you start acting like you beat Yan Xiaonan when Yan Xiaonan won 14 minutes of that fight, it's just, to me, it's delusional. And Angela Hill is not a spring chicken. She's like 36. So when you have that kind of mindset at that age, it just probably is not going to translate to good long-term results. And with Tecia, man, she picked herself back up after that skid, man. She goes out there, destroys a top prospect at the time in Brianna Van Buren, and then against Hughes, she let Hughes know that, hey, you probably don't belong in the UFC. Like when Tecia Torres is going out there and getting a first-round finish, that's when you know what the deal is. And now Angela Hill is accusing someone who's never popped for using steroids, and it's like Angela, like let's stop, please. So. And now we talk about Texas judges. Angela's on the wrong side of these decisions. The reason is she comes out hard that first round, and then she coasts and cries robbery. And
every time.
I'm gonna go with Tecia via decision here. I think it'll be closer than the first fight because Angela Hill's definitely improved, no questions asked. But I'm gonna go with Tecia here. I like her mindset better. I like her skill set better. I like her ability with the judges better. Give me Tecia Torres via decision.
Like Ticia's always been like that. Like she's always been buff and muscular, cut up. So like Hill kind of rubs me the wrong way, man. Kind of always has. I mean, pretty much like a lot of people say that about her. Man. Like I just think she's delusional. Yeah, I mean, with these decisions, she's got that Conor McGregor accountability. An excuse for everything. I mean, what happened was you fought Gadelha, you dropped her, and then you stopped fighting. I mean, that's what happened. I mean, and she pushed it on you in the late. Gadelha was pushing it on you in the late rounds. And Xiaonan was pushing it on you in the late rounds. That's why you've been Courtney Kate. You lost a decision to Courtney. Like Courtney Casey's the queen of losing close decisions, and you lost a decision to her. You know what I'm saying? So, like Angela Hill, you beat Ashley Yoder your last fight. Like, congrats. Like. Oh my God. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, look, man, I got Tecia Torres in this fight. I think Tecia Torres just got the better mindset. She's already got a win over her. She's a little more realistic. She knows that, this fight's going to be tough and what she needs to do. As where you got Angela Hill, who's always, dwelling on the past about I got robbed here, I got robbed there, and all this, nonsense.
She's on steroids.
She's on steroids. She got kicked out of AT. Like all this nonsense, dude. Like, it's ridiculous, and it's honestly sad. And it's honestly sad because, like, you remember when she fought Randa Marcos and she was like posting pictures of Randa and like saying all this stuff, and then goes out there and what happens? Like, she gets stopped in the was it the first round, right? Like, you think she would learn her lesson by now? I got Tecia Torres. I actually think it's going to be convincing though. Like the last, well, not even the Hughes fight, but the Van Buren fight, I think I bet on Van Buren, bro. I was like, yo, like Tecia was out there like that was an ass whooping, man. And I mean, look, she lost to Marina Rodriguez. Like Marina Rodriguez is top 5, if I'm not mistaken. She lost to a former champion, Weili Zhang, and she won a round on one scorecard. Like that fight wasn't easy. Like Weili Zhang got wobbled in that fight. Who else did she lose to?
Randa?
Tecia Torres.
Oh, Tecia.
Her streak.
Oh yeah, it was all the champions, man.
Jessica Andrade.
Champion, number one contender.
Like, man, Tisha's about to put on a little clinic here on Angela Hill, and Angela Hill's gonna, she's gonna regret what she said.
Now, before we talk about the featured bout, just want to answer some fan stuff. So our boy Gargantua said, "Good shit as always, fellas." Shout out to Night Train again. Night Train helped this man win a tournament, so that's fucking awesome.
Choo choo.
My boy, that dude said if Shaq and I had an MMA match, who would win? I think Shaq's got the power advantage for sure. I'd say I have the grappling edge. So it depends where we keep the fight, right?
Yeah, I mean, if he gets on top of me, that's it. But
let's see.
I got robbed once.
All right. So featured bout in the welterweight division, we got Vicente Luque. He's 20-7. He's taking on Michael Chiesa, who's 17-4. And currently they got this fight -110 Luque, -110 Chiesa. So it's a dead pick 'em. It originally opened -160 for Luque. So Vegas does think Luque should be favored. Look, this is a hell of a fight, man. I mean, you got to take your hat off to a guy like Chiesa, because the way he was looking towards the end of his run at 55s, I was like, man, like this ain't going to pan out well. But since he moved up to 70s, looks like a completely new man, and has the way, like the size wise, like I'm curious how the fuck he ever made 55s, man. When you see that face off with Luque, he looked bigger than Luque. So Chiesa, man,
Anthony Johnson once made 170.
Anthony Johnson once made 170. Exactly. So Chiesa, man, I got nothing but respect for him, because he's like, when you talk about, you know, because I know, you know, he said some things in the past that maybe, you know, rubbed people the wrong way, and he acted a certain way. It cost a lot of people in that Joe Lozon fight. But man, look at his resume, man. I mean, beat Vic on The Ultimate Fighter, beat Iaquinta in his UFC debut, beat Trinaldo, submitted Beneil Dariush, and then goes up to 70s, you know, beats a legend in Condit, beats a legend in Sanchez, beats a legend in Dos Anjos, beats a tough out in Neil Magny. So, I mean, I got to take my hat off to Chiesa. And one thing I really respect about him is he knows exactly where his strengths lie. I mean, Chiesa ain't about to come out here. There ain't going to be no jokes about K1 Chiesa or, you know, Mike, I said Mike Tyson. There's not going to be any Chiesa Tyson, you know, or Chiesa Mayweather, any shit like that, you know.
Chiesa dropped Masvidal once.
He did drop Masvidal. That's so true. But when Chiesa throws his punches, it's more, you know, he's spamming with one goal in mind, try to get that body lock. And from there, man, when this guy ties up with you, he is so damn strong. When he gets on your back, he's got a nasty squeeze. So, I mean, Chiesa, if he can come out here and replicate the game plan that Mike Graves did against Luque back in 2015, then shout out to our boy Mike Graves. Don't believe the bullshit you read. That guy's a good dude. Yeah, I wonder what he's up to. But yeah, no, but Mike Graves laid the blueprint, and then the Leon fight was kind of similar, but it was a step in the right direction for Luque. I mean, he won the first round in the Leon Edwards fight. It was in 2017. Now we're moving on 4 years. And I think now he might actually be prepared to take on a guy like Chiesa. And I was getting worried for Luque around the Brian Barberena fight. Like, I felt like, man, like, listen, I'm a huge fan of your style. You're exciting, but like, you take too many clean shots. And I feel like after the Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fight, these last three performances, look, it's still going to be the same forward, aggressive Brazilian bruiser with the calf kicks, the big left hook, the opportunistic submission ability. No doubt about it. He's still going to be the same guy, but I feel like he's really cleaned it up these last three fights, man. And I know there were some, you know, Randy Brown landed a nice takedown on him for sure. You can't deny that, but Luque got back up very quickly. And even when Tyron Woodley, a D1 wrestler, tied up with him, Luque was able to separate out the clinch. So he's showing some of the right things that I want to see in a matchup like this. I think that Chiesa is so outgunned on the feet here that, you know, at some point, if he cannot just hold Luque against the fence or get him down and hold him down, I think that Chiesa is going to start shooting from a mile out. And from there, I think Luque can get him with a dart show, get him with a guillotine, get him with something opportunistic, chop him down with calf kicks, hit him with that big left hook, because this fight stays on the feet for any prolonged period of time, you know, minus the first 10 seconds where they're feeling each other out. And I think Luque is going to put some damage on Chiesa. And then also, Chiesa seems to be a very popular side this week, and I understand why. I mean, he's looked like a stud since he's moved up to 70s. I just don't think that he's truly been tested at 170. Look, I respect all the guys he's fought. Like I said, Condit, a legend. Sanchez, a legend. But Condit and Sanchez are towards the end of their careers. Rafael Dos Anjos, a legend. But Rafael Dos Anjos is a 55er. Neil Magny is a tough out, but many people have shown that they can run through Neil Magny before. Vicente Luque is a clear step up in competition, and I think Luque is the one who's headed towards that title trajectory in terms of challenging, at least. So I'm going to go with Vicente Luque to finish Michael Chiesa, and I think it'll be a tough fight.
Yeah. I feel like kind of similar. Like I feel like the last fight he was maneuvering a lot better, at least like threatening with his hands. But we're talking about Neil Magny. Like Neil's a good fighter, but like I mean Neil ain't really knocking much things out. Like look, I think a lot of the criticism of Vicente is somewhat warranted, but at the same time, it's not like in this particular fight, it's not like Chiesa is gonna hurt him on the feet or anything like that. But I mean, he's a vicious Muay Thai banger. I mean, that comes with you have to take shots. I mean, you're gonna get whacked. I mean, I've seen guys like Justin Gaethje and our favorite fighter, Justin Gaethje, Chandler, Poirier. I mean, when you have that stand in the pocket style, I mean, you are gonna get rocked. So I mean, honestly, when I started watching Vicente Luque's fights, I was like, I mean, this is what he does. He stands in the pocket. If you stand in the pocket, that's why he's in the position that he's in, man. I mean, he's getting finishes. He's hurting these guys. The fight he had against Randy Brown. I mean, other than the takedown he gave up, I mean, that was beautiful, man. That was exactly how. I mean, in this fight, I feel like he should do because I feel like I agree. Like if Chiesa stands with Luque toe to toe for more than a minute, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, something's gonna get through. I feel like, whether it's a straight, a left hook, I mean, a knee in the clinch. I mean, he's got a lot of weapons, and yeah, I know Chiesa is gonna be banking on that takedown, but I just feel like I feel like that's something he can prepare for. He's got Gilbert Burns. He's got that team over there in Florida and his team in Brazil. And look, I feel like Chiesa's a popular pick, and I mean, look, has he lost around at 170? He probably hasn't lost around at 170, so I see why. But Neil Magny just doesn't pose that finishing threat. Neil Magny is a workman, an efficient guy, a guy that's gonna just look to outwork you. I mean, every shot Vicente's throwing at him, whether it's to the body, the legs, the head, is going to be with violent intentions, and he's gonna have to, I feel like everything's gonna have to go perfect for Chiesa. Like he's gonna have to just hope Vicente can't get his break his grips or things like that. But we'll see, man. I'm going Vicente Luque by knockout as well. I think it should be more closer to the opener, like -160, like -150, 60, like 40. Respect to Chiesa, definitely been doing his thing, but the danger level here is very big.
100%. So before we talk about the co-main event, everybody do us a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We truly appreciate it. Co-main event of the evening, we got the legend, the former WEC and UFC featherweight champion, Jose Aldo Jr. He's 29-7. He's taking on Pedro Munoz, who's 19-5. And currently they got Jose Aldo -120. The comeback on Pedro Munoz is +100. So Shaq, it's a closely lined fight. There's so many different areas I want to attack this fight from. Firstly, Pedro Munoz is very, very hittable. So that the early going, Jose Aldo might get off on some big stuff. I mean, there's no holes in Jose Aldo's game. His boxing is amazing. His kicks are on point. His jiu-jitsu is great. His takedown defense. Like Jose Aldo doesn't have any holes in his game. The issue with him is that he's such an explosive athlete that he will tend to fade just naturally down the stretch. That's just been an issue throughout his career. But as far as critiquing his techniques, I mean, Jose Aldo is, he's pretty
a lot better technically than Pitt.
He's like almost perfect. Like he's amazing. He's a phenom. Jose Aldo is one of the best pound for pound fighters we've ever seen. I mean, I remember coming home from high school watching this guy in the WEC. He's just so amazing. With Pedro Munoz, here's the interesting thing. So Pedro Munoz eats a lot of shots. So that's one thing he's got going against him. But the other thing is he's so goddamn durable, never been finished. And he's the guy that you start to slow down on Pedro Munoz and down that stretch, he will start to take over. But there are a couple things I'm worried about. The judges. Pedro Munoz, I don't know what it is, but he's been robbed more than once, and he's been robbed by guys that are really good at weaseling decisions, kind of like Aldo. Remember the John Dodson fight? I thought Pedro Munoz broke John Dodson. Didn't matter. I thought Pedro Munoz walked down Frankie Edgar for 5 rounds. Didn't matter. So it's one of those things where we can think Pedro Munoz wins this fight. These Houston judges might still give it to the legend Jose Aldo, but Jose could also win it fair and square. I mean, he is that damn good of a fighter. So I think first round goes to Aldo. I think third round goes to Pedro. There might be a finish along the way, but if it goes to decision, I think it comes down to how you score that second round. I'm a slightly lean Pedro because of the output, but man, I would be lying if I said I was confident counting out, a legend like Jose Aldo.
Yeah, man, it's a tough fight because at this point with Pedro, it's like I've seen him literally get hit flush on the chin so many times. It's like you see all the openings for Jose, but you just know he's not gonna knock. I mean, like Pedro, man, like the Jimmy fight, those were some clean ones he was taking. He wasn't even like he didn't even phase him. Like he didn't even flinch. Like Jimmy was in there swinging. Like that's the same Jimmy that y'all were saying was hurting Peter Yan and all this stuff. So I think that man, like I mean, look, in terms of like his style, I mean, this could be Jose's worst nightmare. I mean, this dude doesn't. I mean, he moves forward. He eats a lot of shots, but he dishes out a lot of shots. We know Jose necessarily isn't throwing the low kicks as much as he once was. We know who is throwing the low kicks. I mean, Pedro's throwing them low kicks at a very high rate, kind of like similar. When I was watching Pedro, you know, he reminded me of like an old Gaethje. Like he was just in there, just like I mean, putting pressure, just like all over the place. I mean, he's got the jiu-jitsu. I don't think he's gonna submit Aldo or anything like that, but I mean, the dude moves forward. I still think he beat Frankie Edgar. Hashtag Apex Judges. It is, you know, it is what it is.
I thought he beat Dodson.
You know, but Vegas hasn't been too kind to my boy. That fight with the Dodson fight was in Vegas too, I believe. So yeah, man. Look, I think it's gonna be a close fight, but I'm gonna go with Pedro, man. I just think he puts on too much pressure for Aldo. And one of the things I want to say about Aldo in his last fight against Vera, you know, I feel like Vera didn't put enough pressure. Like, you know, I mean, usually that third round is Vera's best round. And, you know, he, even early on, though, I feel like he was kind of holding back. I feel like Vera doesn't have as much experience as Pedro at the high level, you know, something he'll learn, and, you know, for future fights. I just feel like, you know, there was more spots where, you know, like, there's a blueprint to beat Jose. You have to press him, you have to make him work and put him on the back foot, and but stay composed. It's you know, it's only you know, an elite high level guy can do it. You know, but I watched the Marlon Moraes fight. I still think he lost that fight, man. I mean, I know that was his bantamweight debut, so maybe he was
definitely had moments in that fight.
Yeah, but he definitely had moments in that fight. But you know, a win over Marlon Vera, you know, no offense to Marlon Vera, I still, you know, he's at the bottom half of the top 15, you know, he's like number 15 or 14. So,
yep.
I still would like to see more to say that Jose can compete at the top 5 level at bantamweight, but watch him come out here and he is top 5 already. Wow. Yeah, I mean, he has to be, right? Yeah. But like, man, we'll see what happens here. I'm gonna go with Pedro Munoz to get it done, though, man. I think that this is a good spot for him. Just move forward, don't get clipped. I think as long, man. But I said that against Frankie, and then he scored it for Frankie Edgar. So Jose's probably gonna win. So
yeah, Houston judges, man, something else. All right, main event of the evening in the heavyweight division for the interim heavyweight championship. We got Derrick the Black Beast Lewis. He's 25-7. He's taking on Ciryl Gane, who is 9-0. Currently, they got Ciryl Gane minus 350. The comeback on Derrick Lewis is plus 280. So in some places plus 300, some places plus 310. So listen, man, Ciryl Gane, as far as numbers are concerned, he's got him covered in the striking and the grappling and this. But I mean, doesn't every single opponent have Derrick Lewis covered in the striking stats, in the grappling stats? So I feel like stats are kind of irrelevant in this fight, because when we talk about, you know, people like to dismiss the term KO or bust, like, oh, just write it off. He's KO or bust. Like, he ain't going to win. But like, this is the UFC KO king. Like I said at the beginning of the show, more KOs than Anderson Silva, more KOs than Vitor, Chuck Liddell, Anthony Rumble Johnson in the UFC. So Derrick Lewis, I mean, yeah, I mean, he's not going to win by submission. He's probably not going to win a decision, but it's like one of those things where the KO or bust thing kind of makes it seem like he doesn't have a chance of knocking you out. He has a chance of knocking anybody out, man, especially someone that's going to stand with him. But on the flip side, the holes we've seen in the past in Lewis's game standing has been a lot of body attacks that have been able to hurt him. And I know for a fact Ciryl Gane and his team are watching that tape. They're going to come in here, a lot of kicks to the body, a lot of knees. They might even try to take Lewis down. They know Lewis is super hard to submit. So there's going to be a lot of positional awareness by Gane here. I mean, look, I think the pick should be Gane to win. It's just one of those things where I think even if Gane gets knocked out here, I think he can still come back and be a future champion. I think he's that talented. He's that skilled. I think he's a phenom, man. He's had less than 10 pro fights. He's still a baby in this game. He's one of the best babies in this game by a long shot, but he's still developing. So I would not be surprised if he got knocked out, especially you see a plus 300 on Derrick Lewis in Texas, undefeated in Texas, but let alone against any heavyweight. I mean, we're talking about a guy in Derrick Lewis beat the champion Francis Ngannou. He had Francis Ngannou scared to throw against him. Beat Volkov more viciously than Gane did. Knocked out the best wrestler in the division, Curtis Blades. So it's not like Derrick Lewis is just, just beating Gabriel Gonzaga and Roy Nelson. He's beating the fucking best guys on planet Earth. The Ciryl Gane fits that bill as well. So you cannot count out Derrick Lewis at all. And I'd be very uncomfortable if I laid the price on Gane, just knowing that any second this fight could end. Even if Derrick doesn't throw a single strike for 4 straight minutes, that one punch he does throw could end the show. So I'm worried about that. But I do think Gane's going to win the minutes of this fight. 100%. I think Gane's going to win the minutes of this fight. I think Gane's more technically sound. I think Gane is the better fighter. It's just I'm fucking worried about that KO shot, Shaq. Big time. I'll pick Gane, but not confidently.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of different circumstances for this fight. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of Cyryl's last few fights have been in a quiet, somewhat of a quiet setting. I mean, now he's fighting in huge, like we're talking about Derrick's hometown. Sometimes I've seen like when you got every single person in the crowd against you, I don't know how many people fit in that arena, but
a lot.
I mean, I haven't really seen Ciryl Gane in a high pressure cooker situation like that. I mean, he definitely's got some good wins over Volkov and Rosenstrike and JDS, but I've seen all the the Rosenstrike fight was good, but I've seen Volkov beaten before. He's got several losses. Gane did his thing. I mean, in terms of beating him by points, it's going to be tough. I mean, the dude's distance is on point. He looks very pretty doing it. I mean, like the dude is bouncing all, the dude's solid. You have to close the distance on him. And if you start hesitating and backing up, I mean, you're going to lose a decision, man. It's pretty much a wrap. So I think the Derrick just has to make Ciryl fight, make him like put pressure on him, touch, like you have to really put him in a spot to think. I mean, there's going to be a lot of fans in there, and I'm telling you, Ciryl, I just don't like that price. Like he's not real, like even though he's definitely done his thing, like he hasn't. This is a high stakes, man. This is like not saying. I mean, we're gonna see if he can do it. We're gonna find out Saturday. But as far as a bet, man, I don't see how you can play that line in Texas, like we said, Lewis is undefeated. Doesn't matter against who he fought. He's never lost in his home state of Texas. So Ciryl Gane's got to go out there, and Ciryl Gane's never lost a fight. So somebody's got to go out there and do something that nobody's ever done before, man. I'm gonna go with Lewis. I think Lewis is gonna. I think Gane's gonna win. About 12 minutes, 13 minutes. And then all of a sudden be unconscious, and then
Ciryl, wait.
It's like, wait, what happened? We were up, we were up on the cards 30-26. But just like we've seen multiple times. But nah, man, I of course Ciryl's the more capable fighter, more aspects to win the takedowns, the distance, the striking, and all that. So he should win this fight. I just don't like the price, man. I think that it should be a little closer. Like have some respect for Derrick, like Curtis Blades. Like I know Curtis doesn't have the best stand-up, but in terms of other outside of Stipe over the last 3-4 years, outside of Stipe and Ngannou and you said what now? Others outside them two, like who's been the most dominant heavyweight? Like Curtis Blades ain't even losing rounds against half of these guys. Like watch Curtis come out here and pound Rosenstrike's head into the mat, and then watch y'all all be back on him. You know what I'm saying? Just because Derrick knocked out Volkov too. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't be shocked if Derrick knocked him out. I'm like, I can't pick against the beast in Houston, man. Come on.
Man, it'd be a sight to see, and it'd be so great for the UFC to see this guy win a belt. And again, even if Gane loses, I think Gane has championship trajectory, like 100%.
Where's Gane going?
And when's the last time you saw a heavyweight move like a middleweight? He's a phenom.
And I like his camp too, man. His coach,
Fernand.
And you saw how Nasruddin looked against Ian. I mean, them Frenchies they're changing it. I like them now. They're changing the vibes for me.
Absolutely. So we got to talk about the fight to watch and the fighter to watch. Do us a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. So Shaq, what is the fight to watch for UFC 265?
My fight to watch is that welterweight fight, man. That's Vicente Luque versus Chiesa, because the winner is going to be one win away from a title fight, right? Probably fighting Burns or something. Ooh, I don't know if Luque can fight Burns. That's his best friend. I don't know. But,
Burns has fought his friends before.
True. Man, they might have to scrap. remember when Koscheck and Fitch, they wanted Koscheck and Fitch to scrap, but they never did. And then he was like, "Oh, so you really don't want the title?"
Facts.
But anyways, man, yeah, that's my fight to watch. Chiesa, I mean, he's been looking amazing at 170. Luque is one of the most exciting fighters in not just at 170, but in the UFC period. Every time he fights, you have to watch because I mean, it's like somebody's gonna get messed up. So yeah, that's my fight to watch. And like I said, the winner's one fight away from a title fight. You got Usman and Covington getting ready to do it again. I know Leon and George need to go ahead and settle this thing that they've been having, and Burns is sitting there. So I think the winner of this fight probably fights him.
For me, my fight to watch is the co-main event between Jose Aldo and Pedro Munoz. I mean, again, remind me the last time you not only missed a fight from either of these guys, but remind me the last time one of these two was involved in a shitty fight. I mean, we're talking about a legend in Jose Aldo. And I think Pedro Munoz can become a legend down the line just because of how damn exciting he's been his entire UFC career. And you have to become a legend. You have to beat a legend. This is his opportunity. So let's see if he takes it with full grasp. So Jose Aldo versus Pedro Munoz is my fight to watch. Now, Shaq, who is your fighter to watch for UFC 265?
Fighter to watch is going to be, is he from Kazakhstan or
Kyrgyzstan?
Kyrgyzstan. That's my boy Fiziev, man. I really think he's gonna have somewhat of a coming out party here on Saturday night. I know the line is pretty wide, but I think it's warranted, man. I mean, last time I seen guys starching, Moicano, I mean, they were top 5. So like Zombie is top 5. I mean, who else beat Moicano? Ortega is challenging for the title.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah. I think Fiziev it might be one of these guys here in the future. And I like his manager a lot too. So Bobby's a legend of the sport. This is Bobby's a name you need on your resume. If you beat Bobby Green, then you get a ranked opponent. So I think Fiziev's the fighter to watch.
Absolutely. My fighter to watch is Manel Kape. Look, this guy's been heavily criticized in his first 2 UFC fights, but in my opinion, he fought 2 top 10 guys. I mean, I know Nikolai's number 12, but in my opinion, he's a top 10 guy. And
who's ahead of Nikolai?
So they got it.
Had one fight since he been.
I'm pretty sure Nikolai's number 12. Where is this shit at? Yeah, number 12. So, but he's about to fight Tim Elliott and take his spot. So, but anyways, back to Manel Kape. He's been heavily criticized for having kind of low volume against very tough outs, and maybe he can go for it a little bit more. And here he's got a very explosive, young, hungry fighter in Ode Osborne that he's facing. And this is an opportunity for Manel Kape to kind of establish his worth in the flyweight division, let everybody know that, hey, the UFC picked the right guy to bring over from Japan. I'm no slouch at all. I can hang with these guys. And this fight's going to let us know a lot about the trajectory of Manel Kape. So for that reason, he is my fighter to watch. Shaq, we did it. It's going down tomorrow night in Houston, Texas, H-Town. Got the Black Beast taking on Ciryl Gane for the interim strap. Winner gets Francis Ngannou. It's going to be one hell of a fight. Going to be one hell of a show. Thank you so much to all our fans for joining us here on Half the Battle. We truly appreciate it. We love you all so much. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe. Thank you to our sponsor, Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com. Use that promo code BATTLE20 for 20% off and free shipping. Subscribe to Half the Battle on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, Spotify. All the places where we are available. We got an off week next week, but then after that, we'll be back for the next card. Follow Shaq at MMA Genius 05. Follow me at Best Fight Picks. Thank you guys again so much for the love. And until the next time, let's cash these bets.